Well, I had no intentions of coming out here and burning this morning, but it rained here last night and it's pretty wet. I was going to work on the pond today, getting the rest of that dam moved, and I'm still going to work on it, but I want to take advantage of the wet weather we had because it's been pretty dry for the last couple weeks and I hadn't been able to burn that pile. So with it nice and wet this morning, I figured it was a safe time to burn it. It's going to put me a little behind schedule on the pond, but brought that over here this morning and well, brought it. I tracked it from over there. You can see the Volvo sitting over there through the woods. But yeah, I set that on fire. It's dried for a couple weeks now, so it's burning pretty decent. A lot better than that other stuff did. So I'm gonna let that burn down for a little bit. I'm actually gonna go over there and work on the pond some and come over here every hour or so and pile some more stuff up on it. Got about half the stump pile on there. Just kind of mix some stumps and brush in there and I'll let it burn down and stack some more on it. Time to stoke up the fire. I've been working on the pond for about an hour and a half. Letting this burn down. I'm gonna come over here and push it up, throw some more stumps on it, let it keep burning down. It's doing a pretty good job, I think. Burning pretty good. I'll get all this stuff here on the side and pile it up in there so it'll catch up. Let's just push everything up. What happens is it burns out all the small stuff, and if you don't come down here and keep them shoved up, it gets so much space in between it that all the big logs and everything won't burn. So got to come in here every now and then and hem it up a little bit. got that stacked up, and I let it burn down. It's doing a good, nice, clean burn. You can barely see the smoke above the tree line. It's hot. It made all the difference. That stuff's sitting there a couple weeks, but I didn't have time on the other pond. Let it sit that long, but I'll just let that keep burning down. I'll pull these stumps out, knock some dirt off, and chunk them in there. Burning good. It's burnt down good. I've just got back from lunch, so I'm gonna fling some dirt off a few of these stumps, throw them up in the fire, and pile everything up again. This big stump, put it out there in the center. Let it bake right there for a little while. I'm gonna grab this stump and take it out, drop it on the ground, knock some dirt off of it. That's what happens, is it'll go and burn down all the roots, and it'll leave all the dirt that's left on the bottom of the stump where you couldn't get out, and then it won't burn anymore. So you just got to pull it out, drop it around a few times, get the dirt off of it. See, like these right here, look at all the dirt left on there. Now that it's burned all the other roots off, just drop it a little bit. It'll bounce right off now that it's powder. And then put it back in the fire. See, now this one, it's burnt down some. Maybe the dirt's dried off a little bit. Yeah, went from mud to dust. It'll knock most of the dirt off of them. That was a good thud. Now roll it over. Do it one more time. Then back in the fire it goes. Let it burn down some more. Look how the fire has come out the hollow spot in it. It's pretty cool. Windshield wiper. Couldn't ask for better weather for the fire though. Just a good steady little rain. Keep everything under control. Keep the ground around it wet. Treetops wet, that way it doesn't burn all the leaves off everything. The wind got to blowing. Just perfect. Luckily I was able to get it burning good before it did come all that rain though. back up. Well, the fire's burned down good again, so I'm gonna hop on the Hitachi here and stack it up again, let it burn down throughout the night, and come back in the morning and pretty much everything should be burnt down within the pile, and all I have to do is just kind of keep rounding everything up and get rid of it. Volunteer to clean the tracks, please? Anybody? Ooh. Well, that was short-lived. I made it all of about spun around and 20 feet. Hose busted. Well, that's what happens when it gets to 5 o'clock on a Friday. Well, I'll have to worry about that tomorrow. The joys. So the Hitachi let me down with a busted hose. I'm glad it didn't bust while it was over the fire there. That would have made a nice little flamethrower. Luckily, something told me to go over there and grab some other stuff that needed to be put on the fire, and I did that. If not, I would have went right straight over here to the fire and grabbed something and sprayed hydraulic oil all over a fire. That just would have been phenomenal. Come on. So now I'm going to try to push the fire up with a thumbless excavator. This should work great. I'll change that hose in the morning when it's cool. I don't feel like it right now. Plus, I don't have all the right wrenches. Just push this up the best I can, and that's just going to have to be good enough for tonight. Luckily, I already had most everything in the pile. Well, everything is in the pile. Just get it pushed up the best I can. That's a big stump that needs to be spun around. Definitely not the proper way to do this. All I'm doing is pushing all the dirt mess that I'm trying to supposedly separate out up into the pile. Majority of that burns down tonight. There should not be a lot left in the morning to have to deal with. And this lot can dry off, and I can come over here with the dozer and blade it off. Clean it up. I'm just going to take all this mess and push it down at the bottom of the hill to kind of help fill in. There's a low area down there. hose fixed, I can kind of, those few right there need to be pulled out of the fire and bounced around a little bit. Knock some dirt off, but I can't really do it too good with this one. I'll let it do what it's going to do. Worry about the rest of it tomorrow. I'm going home. So here it is about dark. If anybody knows me, you know that stuff like this bothers me, and I just wouldn't be able to sleep tonight not knowing if this hose was going to be a pain in the butt to get off. So I went back to the house and I've got the magical wrench that I did not have, because I normally don't carry a 1 7/16", but I had to go back and get it. And I was able to actually break both of these loose, so I'm going to take these hoses off, get them plugged, and go get a new hose in the morning. Well, $200 later, got me a new hose and my old wire back on it. 4,000 PSI hose, they aren't cheap. So, I went ahead and got new O-rings as well, because as you can tell, those are pretty well flat. If you don't take the 79-cent O-ring out and put a new one in there, that one's actually got a cat O-ring in it. That little O-ring right there can cause you a nightmare. So, got me some new ones. Put that in there. And I can't do that one-handed here before you put the new hose on, because that little O-ring has been in there so long it's pretty well flat. And if you don't replace it with a new one, it's going to leak. Let's get this hose put on. Well, that went back on there pretty easy. Guess it's the moment of truth now. Fire it up and make sure nothing leaks. Just the one for the bucket, so I'll start it up and wiggle that around a minute and see if everything's still dry. Good pressure on it. If it's going to leak, it'll leak because of that. Let's go check it out. Get me a rag. I think that's a little residual from when I screwed it on. I didn't wipe it off. Yeah, let me put the camera there where you can at least see. Yeah, I think I'm good. Alright. Time to go to work. The fire pile burnt down pretty good. So I'm going to go over there and restack it up, and it should all burn down today. Well, the fire's burning so good now I can hardly stand to be right here with the door open. Toasty. But it's burning great, nice and hot now. Heat's going straight up, so it shouldn't hurt the trees. you notice, I took the fire and I shifted it down. Let me get rid of this log here real quick. I can't stand to be here yakking. Let me get away from this fire. It's hot. But I kind of moved the pile down to over top of that end pile of it that didn't burn. That way I didn't have to restack it. I just pulled all the stumps out and restacked them on top of that. So that's going to burn through some ashes out. I'll probably rake these down real quick, kind of mix them in with this mud. And once everything dies down, hopefully it'll soak up enough of this moisture. I just take it down there. I'm going to dig a hole down there in the bottom and bury all the junk that won't burn and the roots and mess, and then use that dirt to kind of level that up a little bit back there and fill in that low area. Alright, let that burn down some. So that is pretty much 48 hours after setting it on fire. The entire pile is gone. Other than a few little pieces down there, we'll throw in a hole and let them finish up burning. Other than that, I'm going to go get the dozer and push this stuff down here to him. We'll kind of mix some ashes up and bury them down there in a hole. Alright, got the dozer over here now. Got a little hole dug we're going to take and clean all this mess up and get this house lot graded out. Just push everything back there and kind of fill in that low area. It stays pretty wet and swampy down there. We'll use this dirt to kind of level that off. house lot is done. Got all the ashes cleaned up and taken down there to the edge of the wood line, graded off. Just kind of rough graded out. He's got his logs over there to saw into lumber for a shelter he wants to build. Well, that went pretty good, I think. It's like 48 hours getting everything from a big brush pile to burn up and cleaned up. So it'll be a little while before he builds a house, but got it where they can it'll grow back up. They can keep it bush hogged, and eventually the driveway will come down through here, and the pond I'm working on, and you can see the excavator right there, the Volvo, is right through there. So this part of the project is done.